increasingly fearful of what we thought was a perfect storm between the rising capability of people to use technology to create and share content, and the increasingly restrictive legal regulation that made it hard for them to do it consistent with copyright laws. So we wanted to build a set of tools that would make it easier for people to do this legally, where by this I mean create and share their content and encourage others to build upon it consistent with the underlying rights of copyright.
Why do you think it has become such a popular model?
Well, I think that the world is not divided into either those people who believe in copyright in the way that Hollywood does, or those who don't believe in copyright. Instead, most people are actually in the middle. They're happy to create and have their creativity shared, at least non-commercially. They're eager for people to share it. But if somebody wants to use their work commercially, I think most people are eager also that they come back and talk to them before their work gets used. So this in fact speaks to a more normal way in which I think people think about how their creativity should be respected, and that's what explains the large number of people who pick it up and are actually using it.
When it comes to technology, what's happening that it's impacting so much in creativity, freedom, and innovation?
Say that again?
What's happening in technology that is impacting creativity, freedom, and innovation so much?
I think it's digital technologies and the internet make it really easy for people to create and share their creativity. So people have been creative since time immemorial, but it's been impossible to share their creativity outside of a commercial context for anybody with anybody except friends and neighbors. But now, you can create a song or remix a video and then share it with 10,000 people on YouTube trivially. So that's what encourages the kind of creativity that we see that I think is so central to what we're talking.
As you know, we are educators, so the education field has in many ways been the birthplace of innovation and creativity, as you said. Much of the debate of public commons has been focused on video and audio. Does this translate into education?
Well, I think increasingly we're seeing that kids connect most effectively with video and audio as it relates to that video. Obviously, kids need to learn to read and to develop understanding through reading, but not just through reading. And if people can learn to express themselves using video as effectively as people are being taught to learn to express themselves in writing, that would be very effective and powerful for education. So I think that's why this becomes so crucial to the project of education.
And obviously education institutions like ours are copyright compliant organizations. What is needed to create change at this level?
Well, I think that businesses like Google and Microsoft have got to make it easier for people to comply with copyright by making it easier for people to identify creative work that is licensed to share. I think it's kind of amazing that you can go to the Google image search website and search on images and filter that search on the basis of the size of the image or the hue of the image or the location of the image, but you can't get filter on the basis of whether that image is licensed for reuse. And I think that's an obvious way in which these companies can make it easier for businesses or for students to comply with the law. People need to start pushing them to do that.
What advice do you have for us when it comes to make easy for educators to share content and learning material without the useful copyright routines?
Well, I think the critical thing is to just make the Creative Commons a part of the routine, like to educate people about Creative Commons, to encourage people to use the Creative Commons search sites to identify content, and to mark their content with Creative Commons material. I think the more people make this an ordinary part of what they do, the easier it will be for people to create and share consistent with the law.
So now that we're talking about law, is digital right management a solution or a problem?
Well, I think it's a problem because what it's doing is blocking uses that that should be consistent with what copyright permits. So I think the better way is not digital rights management, but digital rights expression. So that's what Creative Commons is. It's just a way to say what the rights are that you've got and are being given to you by the creator. And that's the essential thing to making creators comply with the underlying interests that copyright imposes.
We're trying here at this school, we're trying hard to develop among our students some e-democracy experiences. Is that a problem or a solution for politicians?
Say that again, I couldn't hear you.
We're trying to develop e-democracy experiences here among our students. Are these e-democracies new experiences a problem or a solution between politicians?
Well, I think anytime you bring more people into the political process, that's good for the political process, but not necessarily good for the politicians. But I wouldn't worry about that. I think the important thing to do is to build democracies where the widest range of people participate, not just in voting, but also in engaging in the political activity of that democracy. So I would find lots of ways to encourage peer-to-peer politics, regardless of the effect on existing politicians.
Are really technologies like reaching a tipping point in new ways of democracy? Do you think, for example, Obama's new campaign has changed because of new technologies?
Well, certainly new technologies have touched a wider range of individuals and brought more people into ordinary political campaigns. I think the more interesting thing is the way new technologies help outsider movements have an effect inside of the normal political process. So I think what we're going to see is much more effective techniques for encouraging the outsiders to participate in politics, and thereby bringing more people into the political process.
Yeah. Do you think that collaborative actions like a new way of society nowadays?
Well, there's been collaboration since the beginning of society. I just think that the tools have made it easier to collaborate with a wider range of people, and that's an important difference that we should celebrate and encourage.
Do you think that education is really changing the relationship between teachers and students, or it's like the same as always with tiny changes? I mean, how is technology going to change the traditional education where teachers are the only person allowed to provide content to students?
Well, I think the teachers will have more power to tailor their content to the students and to the context that they're teaching within. Right now, teachers accept books that are printed by other people, setting lessons plans for them. I think there'll be more flexibility with that. But I think that education is about learning to write as well as learning to read. And I think that writing is now much more than just writing words on a tablet, but increasingly expressing yourself in video and in audio in ways that are compelling to others. And I think students need that opportunity. And free culture encourages that by making sure that material is available for people to build on.
Do you think the traditional teacher role is dying because of the internet?
No, I think that teacher role becomes more important and more relevant the more the teacher can be engaged directly with the students.
So what aspect of traditional school would you keep no matter the new technologies?
I think the most important aspect is the commitment to public education, which means a commitment to making sure everybody in the society has equal access to educational opportunities. And teachers play a central role in that, and the internet can enable teaching more effectively, but the commitment to public education is something.
Why do you think has copyright message been broadcast so effectively to lawmakers who insist in considering thieves people who share things?
So I can't speak outside of the United States. In the United States, because the people pushing that message are the most influential people inside our political process because they spend the most in persuading politicians to listen to them. So I think it's been hard to get politicians to understand another side to the debate because of this influence, and that's part of the reason why I've shifted my work now to focus on what I think of as a kind of corruption in optics.
If we talk about collaborative actions and culture, what would be the best the best internet architecture for all the society?
I think the internet's original architecture is best. End-to-end network that's neutral, that encourages open innovation and the spread of culture broadly. We can't. There's obviously improvements in the network that will be helpful to make it more reliable, more secure, make it easier to identify, authenticate identity. But I think the original version was pretty good.
Is the real problem is that private sector are trying to reach the control of this internet? Is that the real problem?
Well, you can't. I don't think you can speak that broadly. There are problems inside the private sector trying to take advantage of architectural features that give them control over privacy or more access to data than they otherwise should have. And the government likes, the government too is playing a role in reaching that privacy limit. But I think, the important thing is to recognize the values you want the internet to protect and to encourage and build towards those values.
Considering the strong control actions in nowadays internet, what would it be like? What we have to do in order to provide accessibility to everybody?
Well, I think governments have a role in making sure that internet is cheap and easily accessible. And how it does that in different countries is going to be different. But I think the general rule of thumb is to make sure people don't have too much monopoly power over access to the internet. And that's by securing significant competition in the provision of basic internet services.
Sorry, there is a plane.
Did I lose you? I can't hear you anymore.
Yeah. Now? Do you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I apologize, but I've got another meeting I've got to get to. So are we all
okay?
Okay,
this is the last question. How reversible is that the actual internet conditions, where we are being spied, well, all our actions are being recorded? Is that reversible or not?
Yeah, it's reversible if we act soon. I mean, I think it's an important thing to push and defend. So that's I think the next round of activism, to make sure we're comfortable with the freedoms and protections the internet gives us in its full sense of what the technology gives us, and also what the law protects us.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much, Lawrence. Bye.
Bye.